All right, hey guys, Wayne Fillmore. As I've been digging a little bit deeper into my research and looking into cosmology and looking into astronomy and going into these different types of forensics or historical science, as some people would like to call them, I have made a decision based off of the biblical, theological, and the scientific evidence, and I have come to the conclusion once and for all for the age of the earth. Now, my position was that, the earth was give or take a couple of thousands of years old. I was a younger of creationist, and then I changed my mind, and explain to you why exactly I did change my mind and what caused me to actually switch positions. I'm still a Christian. I still believe the Bible cover to cover. The thing that most people will argue about, there are two sects. There are the young earth creationists and there are the old earth creationists. And from the evidence, I am convinced that the earth is young, but it's old. What do I mean by that? Well, the Bible says over 20 times that God expanded the heavens. Over 20 times the Bible says that. And as a matter of fact, in Isaiah, I think it's chapter 40, verse 22, if I'm correct. Isaiah 40, verse 22 is the verse that the flat earthers love to use for a flat earth. However, they don't continue to keep on reading after the point where it says that it is God who sits upon the circle of the earth and he stretches out the heavens like a tent. Both actually go against a flat earth. Uh, and actually, the Bible predicts, although these people didn't have astronomy, these people knew that the earth had a circle above it. What does that mean? That means that the earth has the horizon of the sun over it. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys a picture of exactly what I'm talking about. And when you see the horizon of the sun, you can see the shadow of the earth if you're on a plane, and you can't get the shadow of the earth on a flat earth. You can only get that with a ball. Also, the Bible said that God stretches out the heavens like a tent. Well, it was Einstein who made the theory of general relativity, and he said that it isn't that gravity pushes things down, but it's more so density. It's the density from space that pushes things down. The only way I can even explain this is the same way I guess it's normally explained. Space and time would be like a fabric. Imagine if you were a trampoline and you put a bowling ball on the trampoline. If you were to either remove the bowling ball or keep the bowling ball on there, either way, uh, the trampoline will make an impression on the fabric. And come to find out, Friday, Einstein's theories just keep on becoming more and more true. And this fabric of space and time is stretchable. And so the Bible says that God stretches out the heavens like a tent. And so when God stretches out the heavens, he stretches out space. And when God stretches out space, he stretches out time. And so as space expands, and time gets longer. Now, when God does it, time gets longer faster. So a lot of people always argue when God made it, and they try to, give it a specific date. Now, you could argue both ways. You could argue that God made the heaven and the earth 6,000 years ago, or you could argue that God made the heaven and the earth 13 billion years ago. Now, modern science says that the universe was created from a singularity point, 13 billion years ago. There are younger creationists who argue no, that's wrong. The Earth was made at a single point 6,000 years ago, if they even believe in singularity. Now, the thing that was very interesting to me was that when you look up at the stars, there are stars that are 13 billion light years away from the Earth. There are stars that are millions of light years away from the Earth. And so, if the Earth was only a couple of thousand years old, how would we be able to see these stars? So, there were a couple theories that I had, and one of the theory that I had was, well, maybe it just has the appearance of looking old, but it's really 6,000 years old. When we do astronomy, we have the potential, or we have actually access only to the past. When you look into the when you look into space, the light from the stars actually take about 8 minutes to travel from the space to your eye and back. And so, as you're looking into the sky through a telescope, you are looking into the past as you go farther and farther away. I know it's hard for people to grasp, but if you guys actually want an expert opinion on this, you guys can actually look up Hugh Ross. He is an astronomer and he's a creationist. Now, there are some people who disagree with him. However, this is just what the astronomy says. This is how it's done. So when you're looking into the stars, you are looking into the past billions of light years away from the Earth, which means those stars have to be billions of years old, or else they shouldn't exist. So if you take the position that the Earth is young, but the world has the appearance of age, when we look at supernovas or when we look at stars blow up, you're not looking at a real event. You're looking at an illusion because it has the appearance of age, but it's really young. So that means, according to that worldview, God would be a deceiver. And so I looked at that and I said, no, that can't be true because the Bible says God is not a liar. You could also go with a couple of other theories and models from a younger point of view. However, when all of those models went through peer review, they didn't work. One of the latest models in the younger community now is Dr. Russell Humphrey's model. And when I looked at that model, I thought, well, maybe that guy has it right. He kind of did, but he kind of didn't. He made his model in 1995, his first model, and his model actually was about gravitational time dilation. Gravitational time dilation is when you move away from the Earth's gravity, time starts to change. I can even give you guys an example. One of the examples I will give you guys is the twin paradox in space-time. So say there are two twins who are born here on Earth, and let's say we were able to send one of the twins to the closest stars, Alpha Centauri. So the twin, we send one of the twins to Alpha Centauri, and it would take him 9 years on his twin's time, which is on Earth, to get to Alpha Centauri, and it would take him 9 years to get back round trip. But on his twin's time, it would only take him 33 days. And this is if he were going the speed of light. So round trip, 9 years to get there, 9 years to get back his twin's time, 33 days his time. The twin gets back to Earth, and he would be about 2 years and 5 months younger than his twin. Why is that? Because as you move farther and farther away from the gravity of Earth, time actually changes. And we know that gravity has a lot to do with time. from atomic clocks. As you go higher and higher from in altitude, time starts to change. It's only by I think it's a couple milliseconds, but those seconds add up. So I know somebody asked Neil deGrasse Tyson. They said, if I went to another planet, would I be able to live forever? And the answer there is no. You probably would live probably only a couple minutes longer than you would on Earth, but those minutes would matter. And so, as you go farther and farther in deep space, time is relative. That's why Einstein's general theory of relativity. Um, we keep on finding out as time goes on that it's true. So I knew this was a big problem in the young Earth model, and so I looked and I looked and I looked, and I even saw one video where a guy admitted he said this is a really big problem in the young Earth creation model. Now we have to remember that God is not on the losing team. If God is who He says He is, then the only model God is on the model that wins, on the model that makes the most sense, and also on the model that gives Him glory. And so, if the young Earth model is true, it would make God out to be a liar, especially with the appearance of age theory, because we're looking out in space and time, we're looking at stars blow up, and if the Earth is only 6,000 years old, we shouldn't be able to see those stars. We shouldn't be able to see those stars blow up. That means we're looking at events that aren't real. So, with that being said, I looked more and more into the theology aspect of it as well. And I know a lot of people like to argue that God made the heaven and the earth in 6 literal days. But yeah, when you say 6 literal days, what do you mean by a day? Because, well, it could be a day here on earth, but it could be a day somewhere else in the solar system, depending on where you are. So the question shouldn't be asked, do you believe God made it in 6 literal days? The question should be, if you believe God made it in 6 literal days, according to whose time? According to the time here on Earth, according to the time here on the moon, according to the time here out in one of the nebulas, because time is relative. And so I was looking at that aspect of it too, going into my study, just unbiased. And this is how science is done. You go, you make a hypothesis, or you make a prediction, and then you make a model, and after you make your model that best fits with reality, you try and tear your model apart, and if your model still stands from shredding it and ripping it apart, then you go with that model. And so that was one of the things that I really could not get um on a young Earth. Let me see. I'm looking for a picture that I can show you guys. So this is the conclusion I came to that best fits with reality, but also this view is an old view. See, the original view of the Earth isn't that it's only 6,000 years old. That's a relatively new view. The Hebrews, they actually believe that God made the heaven and the earth over a long period of time. You know, the people who actually believes in young earth creationism are 7 day Adventists. Now things are starting to come together. The original view of the Bible, and like I said, was that God stretched out the heavens. Now, uh, modern day astronomy says that the heavens, the solar system, has a fabric of space time, and if you stretch out space, you stretch out time. And the original view of the heaven and the earth is God stretching out that fabric and making time longer. And so let me show you guys this. All right, so if you guys can see this picture right here, God's creation is both young and old, but how can that be possible? Well, a lot of people don't believe in the Big Bang, neither do I. This is just the only picture I could get that could explain what I'm trying to get at. So we see right here, we see that there was supposedly the Big Bang, and which is funny. The Big Bang is so misinterpreted, and this is what I mean when I say that a lot of creationists who fight against evolution, they don't even know what evolution really is, because they change their definitions. It's like when it comes to this younger view, they use their own definitions in cosmology and astronomy and evolutionary biology. They use terms that don't exist, and that was another thing that I noticed. And so we see here that the Earth actually did start from a singularity. The Earth started from one single point of time, space, and matter, and it stretched out. And we see that, as a matter of fact, and I don't even like the word Big Bang, but the Bible actually says that God made light after he made the heaven and the earth and he made the matter. He stretched it out. Well, we know light produces heat. And so, like I've been saying for a long time, what they've been calling the Big Bang actually was Genesis 1:3, speaking the world into existence, and God stretched it out. God stretched out that singularity, and as God expanded it, it it got colder. As a matter of fact, we know the universe is still expanding, and the universe is still getting colder today. And so, uh, God actually did make the universe. He made the universe in billions of years very fast. And so when God stretched out the universe, after he stretched it out, that's when these 6 24-hour periods started to begin. That's why we only have 6,000 years of history and a 13 billion year old universe, because it was created quickly. It wasn't created naturally, it was created quickly by the hands of God. And that was the conclusion that I came to. And that was the conclusion that best fits reality. We can go and we have 13 different ways of actually calculating how old the universe is. And all of those 13 different methods come back the same. And I will tell you guys this, when I came to my final decision, I came to the decision that the earth is old. And you would not get that the earth is young if you didn't look at the original Hebrew, and if you didn't look at the original um, language, and if you didn't look at the original tradition of the Hebrews who were looking at Genesis. So why do people believe in a young earth? Because they're told to believe in a young earth. But it's almost the same for people who believe in old earth. They believe the earth is old because that's what the experts say. They don't look at the evidence. I looked at the evidence on both sides, and when it comes to a young earth, it falls apart from the argument of distant starlight. That's what we do. You make a model, you test your model, you try and rip your model apart from all different angles. And when it comes to the younger view, it falls apart. And one of the videos I was looking at, there's a guy who I think is either his name was Danny Faulkner or I think his name was Wash something. I'll link you guys the video when I'm done. But he actually admitted, he said, astronomy is a real problem for younger creationists, and we need more astronomers in that field who are younger creationists. Well, maybe you guys have a real problem with a young Earth because it's not true. And so it's really hard for people to come to that conclusion because if you believe one thing for all these years and now you come to another conclusion based off of new evidence, it's hard to change your mind. I changed my mind at the same exact night after I was doing my research, and there's no way the Earth could be only a couple thousand years old when you do astronomy. You would only get that not from the Bible, but from one's interpretation of the Bible, because the Bible doesn't give out the age of the earth, but from the eldest interpretation of the Bible, the Hebrews definitely did believe that Yom was a long period of time. See, like I said, younger creationism, and I didn't know this, actually comes from Seventh-day Adventism, and creation science comes from flood geology, and this all is traced back to Ellen G. White. And you guys can go, you can do your own research and look into that. But it makes a whole lot more sense for God to stretch out the heavens and God stretch out the fabric of space time, because that matches what we see. Not only does that match what we see, but that matches the oldest interpretation of the Bible. The only way you would get 6,000 years is from the 19th century, when Ellen G. White says she had a revelation from God. Not to mention that Ellen G. White was a false prophet. So if you want to believe in younger creationism, you have to believe in Ellen G. White, which I was ignorant of. I did not know any of this stuff until I did my research. And that's what good scientists do. Scientists research and they look at all different angles and they don't cherry pick, and they form a conclusion based off the data they're given, unbiased. And so if you guys look at evidence for yourselves, hopefully you'll come to the conclusion I came to. But I'll link the videos and whatnot that I was watching before, as far as the papers and the articles I was reading. I even looked on all the Younger Creations websites, and the thing that really intrigued me, the thing that really, really, really intrigued me, was that on every single Young Earth Creations website, when it came to distant starlight, Younger Creationism fell apart. And they admitted that the models they were given to people did not work. They did not have an answer for it. It's funny how Answers in Genesis has an answer for everything else, but when it comes to distant starlight, they give people models that don't work. The Earth can't be 6,000 years old, and I'll even go as far as to say Younger Creationism is a cult. So that's my position on the age of the Earth and the age of the universe. The Earth is 4.6 billion years old, and the universe is 13 billion years old. The universe is young, but at the same time, it's old because God stretched out the fabric of space-time, and so the universe. People assume that it was made naturally, but it was made supernaturally by miraculous causes. Now, if you don't believe in miracles, I don't know what to tell you. Um, the only thing I can even say is, well, we often think that the laws of nature, the laws of physics, are causes, right? We think the laws of physics causes things to act in a certain way that they do, right? We think that the laws of physics causes things to not go outside of it. So what exactly do I mean by that? Give me a moment. I want to pull up my paper that I had wrote on this while doing my research, because that's what good scientists do. Give me a moment. There you go. So, if I told you that I saw a man who had shoes on, and let's say I said the shoes can make him fly, and then I explained to you, I said, well, using the laws of physics, he was able to fly using state-of-the-art miniature jetpacks. Your thoughts about what was a miracle a few minutes ago, it will start to bridge the gap in your mind between an irregularity in the laws of nature into a pattern in the law of nature. But the miracle was scientific the whole time. It was a miracle. I'm sorry. It wasn't really an irregularity in the laws of nature when I first told you about it. It was just that you didn't have all the details about how he was able to do it. I saw a very good quote from somebody who I probably would never agree with, but this quote underneath a video of creationism, it said God believers are happy to believe in magic tricks. However, an atheist would love to find out how the trick is done. And I thought that was so funny because Isaac Newton, who was a Bible believing creationist and a scientist who made Newton's law and actually discovered gravity, he said that science is thinking God's thoughts after him. And so when we're looking at what we call a miracle, it's a miracle in the sense that we don't understand how it works. But once we understand how it works, it bridges the gap in our mind for an explanation of how that irregularity or what we think was an irregularity happened. The whole time was scientific. The miracle was always possible. It was just new to the observer. So, and a miracle is not excluded from the patterns of the laws of nature. The laws of nature can't forbid or accept anything. The laws of nature are just, they are, let me see, they are, because I was writing about this actually earlier. I'm going off my notes. There you go. The laws of physics, they're here to just describe day-to-day patterns that are defined as regular, right? But you can't define what is irregular unless you know what regular is. So it's not the laws of nature that make them the laws of nature. It's our knowledge of the laws of nature that make them the laws of nature to one another. But at the moment an irregularity outside that system occurs, it would itself be defined as a miracle until we're able to explain it using our knowledge. The whole time it was scientific. The whole time it was possible. We just didn't understand how it was possible. And that goes for the sense of God creating the heaven and the earth and stretching it out. We don't really know how God was able to take nothing and turn it into something. I'm still trying to find that out. But as for God stretching out the heavens, now because we know about the fabric of space-time, what used to be believed to be a miracle, at least to me, isn't an irregularity. It actually fits into the patterns of the laws of nature even better. And so what was once special pleading isn't special pleading now because we understand, like the atheist said, how the magic trick works. As a matter of fact, the Bible says over and over and over again that the laws of physics are fixed. So whenever God does a miracle, I don't think he actually goes against his laws. I think he's working within our laws in a system that we don't yet understand. I said this. I said miracles, the miracles of the Bible at least, are just ahead of the science of our time. It's not that these things can never happen in a billion years. It's just that from our knowledge of these patterns of the laws of nature, it makes these things very improbable because we can't explain them as of now. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. So I propose that God miraculously stretched out the heavens within the laws of nature. Even though God is outside of the laws of nature because he made them. So we have to stop getting into this train of thought where God can't bend space and time. As a matter of space and time can bend, we know that. But we assume that if God wants to put something new in that system, he's the creator of it. He can do it because he's outside of it. But also, if he's working within that system, and the Bible said that the laws of physics are fixed, then we can also assume and we can make some assumptions that one day the miracles of the Bible will be able to understand scientifically. And what was once a miracle before, it will become regular to us in the future. And so that's my prediction. So if you like this video, you can comment below. You can tell me your thoughts. And so this is where I'm at right now. I believe the earth is old. Well, I don't believe it happened in a naturalistic way. Without God, I think the only way it could have happened is with God and it actually works better because God is a prepper. And I believe that God stretched out the heavens, God stretched out space and time, because on day 4, when God made the stars, if God would have made Adam on day 6, he would have had to wait a very long time to see the stars. And we know Adam only lived to be 900 years old, so he probably may not have seen them at all. You can't have starlight. That's billions of light years away in a 6,000-year-old universe. And when you look into it, I challenge you to look into it and find a model that works. I challenge you to look into it and make a model that works. You cannot do it because it breaks the laws of physics. And we know that God does not break the laws of physics. The laws of physics are upheld. So, with that being said, um, I will talk to you guys later. Um, if you guys don't like my stance, I don't know what to tell you. I do believe that God made it in 6 24-hour days, but also God stretched it out, and it was miraculously billions of years. So that's my stance. If you guys want to learn about more about younger creationism, you guys can go to reasonstobelieve.org. I think it's reasons.org. They have a very good article on younger creationism, Seventh-day Adventism, and as a matter of fact, BioLogos. I actually don't believe in theistic evolution. I'm not a theistic evolutionist. I don't believe that evolution is a God ordained process. But BioLogos actually has a good article on younger creationism and Seventh-day Adventism. But younger creationism doesn't even tap on the fact that it stems from Seventh-day Adventism. And I think that itself is pretty funny. Uh, so in my point of view, younger creationism, it makes bad science, and I'm just gonna have to make some new model to fix this thing about the flood, um, about uh, a lot of things that the younger creationists, I think, in my opinion, messed up from the Seventh-day Adventist cult. So I'll talk to you guys later. And if you guys have any questions or anything like that, just comment below. But this is where I'm at.